Good evening, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and get this meeting underway. This is the regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Yuba City for May 4th, 2021. Before we get started, I do have a few things to read. Forgot that. The governor has declared a state of emergency to exist in California as a result of the threat of COVID-19. The governor also issued Executive Order N3320, which directs Californians to follow public health directives, including the canceling of large gatherings. The executive order also allows local legislative bodies to hold meetings via conference calls while still meeting state transparency requirements. The public's health and well-being are the top priority for the City of Yuba City, and you are urged to take all appropriate health and safety precautions. How to participate in the virtual meeting. This meeting is utilizing the Zoom application for this live broadcast. For this meeting, we will be using the questions and answers functionality of this tool in order to accommodate public comment. On your device, the questions and answers section of the app is located at the bottom of your Zoom screen. For those that would like to comment during this meeting, please enter your comment into the questions and answers portion of the app and be sure to state the item you will be commenting on. During the public comment of each item, staff will read aloud the comments provided by the public for all to hear for that specific item. Be timely with your questions, as once the public hearing is closed or the item has been discussed by the council and voted on, no more comments will be accepted for that item. Can I have the roll call, please?
Mayor Boomgarden?
Here.
Vice Mayor Shaw? Councilmember Espandola?
Here.
Councilmember Harris? Councilmember Kirchner.
Here.
All right, we're joined tonight by Pastor Fortenberry. He is our new Yuba City Police Department chaplain, and he will be giving us the invocation, followed by a pledge of allegiance. And Marnie, would you lead us in the pledge when the time comes?
Let's pray. Gracious Father, we thank you tonight that we're able to assemble as free people. Thank you that you've given us leaders who govern with integrity and character. Thank you for allowing them to lead us into a city of peace. I pray tonight, Father, that you would bless this meeting. I pray you would continue to bless our leaders, keep them strong in integrity and character. Protect them from people who would seek to compromise their integrity. Protect them from those people. I pray, Father, a blessing upon this meeting. In the name of Jesus, amen. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Thank you, Pastor Fortenberry, and also thank you, Marnie Sanders, Chamber CEO. City Attorney's report on closed session items, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There was no reportable action taken in closed session.
Thank you. Agenda modifications. Council, any agenda modifications? Mr. Kirchner? Okay, seeing none. I would like to comment before we get going here. Both Councilman Harris and Vice Mayor Shaw are unable to attend the meeting this evening. They're dealing with family matters, so it'll be the three of us this evening. Okay, first up is ceremonial presentations, and the first one is acknowledging World Ovarian Cancer Awareness Day proclamation. And I would like to invite Adventist Health Nurse Managers Aubrey Warner and Jennifer Hillary to come forward along with the council.
She was my first basketball when I was freshman girls at University High. Which one? I was 22.
Okay. Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month for May 2021. Please welcome Aubrey Horner and Jennifer Hildry. Both are nurse managers from the Cancer Center. Ovarian cancer ranks 5th in cancer deaths among women and causes more deaths than all of the other cancers of the female reproductive system combined. Each year in the United States, more than 21,000 women are diagnosed with ovarian cancer, and roughly 13,000 women die of this disease. If ovarian cancer is diagnosed and treated at an early stage, treatment is generally less costly, and the 5-year survival rate is approximately 70% higher. A woman's risk of getting ovarian cancer during her lifetime is about 1 in 78. Her lifetime chance of dying from ovarian cancer is about 1 in 108. The symptoms of ovarian cancer are not well known by the public, even though it is the 9th most common form of cancer and 5th leading cause of cancer-related death among women. For the mothers, sisters, daughters, partners, and family who face the pain and heartache of ovarian cancer, we must find a cure for this cancer. During Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month, as we recognize those in the medical community who work tirelessly to provide treatment and care and pay tribute to those who have lost their lives to this disease, let us resolve to increase the awareness of ovarian cancer and shape a cancer-free future. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Mark Boongarden, Mayor of the City of Yuba City, on behalf of our entire council and the citizens that we serve, do hereby proclaim the month of May to be Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month. And I do believe present this to both of you. And I think it's Aubrey that's going to say a few words.
We just want to say thank you on behalf of the Cancer Center. We take this profession very seriously. It's not just a job, it's a profession. Between the two of us, we have 30 years of service at the Cancer Center. So we just want to say thank you on behalf of the Cancer Center. We enjoy serving this community, and thank you again for having us here.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for the work you do and taking care of those in our community. Very well, very much appreciated. Okay.
Can we get a picture, Mayor? Oh, hold on. Thank you. Good to see you again.
All right, next up is item number 2. It's a PG&E Community and Wildfire Safety Program presentation. This is going to be presented by, I hope I get this right, Jonice Foster Downs, Government Relations Representative, Pacific Gas and Electric Company, and this will be done via Teams.
Good evening. Are you all ready?
Yes,
Okay,
please
you
go
can
ahead.
hear me. Great. Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. I'm Jonice Foster Downs, Government Relations Rep for PG&E, and I'm happy to have the opportunity to speak with you all this evening about our Community Wildfire Safety Program. Also here today is Patrick Ellis, our Public Safety Specialist, and Rebecca Dara, our Vegetation Management Supervisor, who will assist with any questions that you may have at the end of the presentation. So first of all, thank you so much for taking the time to meet with us today to discuss our Community Wildfire Safety Program. Today we're going to share with you what we're doing to reduce the threat of wildfire in Sutter County and system-wide, as well as opportunities for us to work together to improve our public safety power shutoff program. But first, as safety is always our top priority, I'd like to take a moment to highlight some safety awareness tips. So if you can go to the next slide there for our safety awareness tips. And I like to make sure that everyone is safe and aware of their surroundings. So if you haven't already done so, please take a moment to survey your current location and identify 2 emergency exit routes in case an emergency occurs. In the event of an earthquake, please drop to the ground, cover and hold, and cover your head and neck. If you are in danger, please notify emergency services immediately. And we would like to encourage you to take all necessary COVID-19 safety precautions, including wearing facial covering, maintaining a 6-foot distance from others when possible, and washing your hands frequently. We know that everyone is currently focused on staying safe from the coronavirus and appreciate your participation during this challenging time. And I'd like to also note that PG&E is still doing everything we had planned to address the threat of catastrophic wildfires despite the constraints imposed by COVID-19, which requires us to work even harder to prevent catastrophic wildfires and to minimize the disruption to communities and individuals if we must call a PSPS event. So with our safety message set aside, our next slide, please. So at PG&E, as I mentioned, our most important responsibility is the safety of our customers and communities. California continues to experience an increase in wildfire risk and a longer wildfire season. On this slide, we're sharing one of the tools we use when assessing wildfire threat and risk in your community, which is the fire threat map of California. This map was developed by the California Public Utilities Commission, or CPUC, in coordination with CAL FIRE and the U.S. Forest Service, and is based on input from electric utilities, communication infrastructure providers, and local public safety agencies. It helps us plan for potential wildfire and focus our prevention efforts. As you can see on the map, nearly 1/3 of the electric lines that provide our customers with power are now in high fire threat areas. But as you can also see on this map, and you can see the high fire threat map for Yuba City, which shows that Yuba City is not in a high fire threat area, thankfully. And you can take a longer look at this map and other locations by visiting cpuc.ca.gov/fire threat maps, which is there at the bottom of the slide. Next slide, please. So about our community wildfire safety program. At PG&E, we are continuing to evolve our community wildfire safety program, or what we call CWSP, in order to strengthen and improve our electric, oh, I just realized my camera has been off this entire time. I'm sorry. So sorry, now you get to see my face. I apologize. So going on, at PG&E, we are continuing to evolve our community wildfire safety program in order to strengthen and improve our electric system for the safety of our customers and communities. As you can see on this slide, we've highlighted the focus areas of our community wildfire safety program. And I'm sorry, are you on slide 4? I'm not sure if I told you to move to slide 4. Okay. So as you can see on this slide, we've highlighted the focus areas of our community wildfire safety program, which is to reduce wildfire potential, improve situational awareness, and reduce the impacts of PSPS events, which include meeting and exceeding state vegetation safety standards to manage trees and other vegetation located near power lines that could cause a wildfire or power outage. And we are continuing to build a safer and more resilient system by hardening lines and installing sectionalizing devices that help reduce the size of public safety power shutoff events. We're also testing and using new tools and technologies to pinpoint how to best prevent and respond to the risks of wildfires. And we're working year-round and assiduously to improve public safety power shutoff events for our customers and communities by providing more resources before, during, and after events. And we're focused on listening to our customers, learning from better data and technology, and providing more resources than ever before for events. Because we all rely on electricity every day, and we want to work with our customers on solutions that minimize the risks to our infrastructure during times of high fire threat. So next slide. So what's new in 2021? In 2021, we are building on the improvements that we made in 2020 and continuing to reduce wildfire risk through some of the tactics listed here on this slide, such as hardening the electric grid through our system hardening work on 180 electric circuit miles. We're addressing vegetation on 1,800 high-risk electric circuit miles that pose a higher potential for wildfire risk through our enhanced vegetation management program. Also, we're tracking weather conditions and monitoring for wildfires by installing an additional 300 weather stations and 135 high-definition cameras. And we're working tirelessly, really, to reduce PSPS impacts by installing over 275 additional distribution sectionalizing devices and transmission switches, which essentially is separating the electric grid into smaller sections, which will help limit the number of customers impacted by events. We're also continuing to improve our weather modeling and refining our forecasting through 5-day forecast data, which has increased from last year, which was 4-day forecast data, and we've increased that to 5-day forecast data. We're also keeping the power on in areas impacted by PSPS events by preparing 10 substations with temporary generation and constructing 5 additional microgrids to power key community resources. Also in 2021, we are supporting customers and communities by providing more resources before, during, and after PSPS events, which includes sending customer notifications in 16 languages and providing new address alerts, which allow customers and non-customers to sign up to receive PSPS alerts about addresses that they choose. We're providing approximately 11,500 batteries to all low-income medical baseline customers in high fire threat areas who are interested. And we're targeting 370 total ADA accessible community resource center sites, which can be opened during PSPS events to serve impacted communities and customers. We provide meal replacement options for customers in 46 counties, and we're expanding our partnerships with community-based organizations to better support customers with access and functional needs. Next slide. So the basics. What is a public safety power shutoff? So for the safety of our customers and communities, a public safety power shutoff continues to be a necessary tool in our wildfire safety toolkit as a last resort for helping keep our communities safe. High winds can cause tree branches and debris to contact energized electric lines, damage our equipment, and cause a wildfire. As a result, we may need to turn off power during severe weather conditions for public safety. I want to also emphasize that these events are always weather-driven and are only called when extreme weather conditions and wildfire risk are present. Because electricity can travel several miles from the generation source to get to your home or business, you may be affected by a public safety power shutoff if the electrical infrastructure that serves you is affected by high winds and severe weather, even if the weather is miles away from your location. Next slide. So what are the weather conditions that could lead to a PSPS event? When deciding if power must be shut off for the safety of our customers and the communities we serve, we review a combination of factors. As each weather situation is unique, we carefully analyze the following factors: low humidity levels, which are generally 30% and below, a forecast of high winds, particularly sustained winds above 20 miles per hour and wind gusts above 30 to 40 miles per hour, dry material on the ground and vegetation that may come in contact with a power line, also a red flag warning being declared by the National Weather Service, and real-time on-the-ground observations from our Wildfire Safety Operations Center and from our crews working across the service territory. And I want to note that all of these factors must be in place for us to move forward with the PSPS event. So every wildfire season is different, and the ongoing drought, the conditions, and our commitments to safety will continue to determine the number of times we will need to shut off power. Okay, next slide. So how will customers be notified? We always do our best to share what we know about the weather and our equipment as soon as we can, keeping in mind weather conditions can be uncertain. You can expect to receive the following notifications regarding a PSPS event, starting with 2 days before shutting off power, when we are in a public safety power shutoff watch mode. We'll send out a notification. Also, notifications will be sent 1 day before turning off power, which we're still in a watch mode. Also, just before de-energizing power lines, when we are now in a warning mode. And then once a day during the actual public safety power shutoff event. And of course, once we have restored power. We will provide updates to customers through automatic calls, texts, and emails. So we encourage you to review the contact information that we have on file for you by visiting pge.com/mywildfirealerts. And if you're not signed up for alerts, you can sign up for alerts on this site. This year, we've launched our address alerts function, which enables those who are not a PG&E account holder, they can also receive a public safety power shutoff notification for any address. So with address alerts, you can receive updates on addresses that you care about, such as your work or business or your child's school or daycare or the home of family and friends or loved ones. We also provide public safety power shutoff updates at pge.com to the local news and radio outlets and through our social media channels, which are listed also on this slide. Next slide. So our customer preparedness and resources. Each year, we're doing more to help our customers and communities before, during, and after a PSPS event. We're partnering with community-based organizations. We're working side by side with community-based organizations to provide support and resources throughout a public safety power shutoff event. We're expanding language offerings by providing information regarding all PSPS events in 16 non-English languages. And we're increasing meal replacement options. We're collaborating with local food banks and Meals on Wheels to provide replacement packages to cover every county likely to be impacted during a public safety power shutoff. And we collaborate with CFI-LC's Disability Disaster Access and Resources Program, which is the California Foundation for Independent Living Centers. We collaborate with them to enable qualifying customers who use electrical medical devices to access backup portable batteries through a grant, a lease-to-own, or financial loan application. Additional assistance through this program also includes access to transportation resources, hotel vouchers, and food stipends following a PSPS shutoff event. And we provide batteries through the portable battery program to low-income medical baseline customers with critical medical needs. We provide generator rebates, where we offer customers who depend on well water pumps and live in high fire threat areas rebates for purchasing a qualified portable power generator. And at this time, we are currently partnering with 10 community-based organizations right in Sutter County. And we welcome any suggestions on additional organizations whom you feel we should be partnering with. Next slide. As I mentioned, Yuba City is not in a high fire threat area. However, PG&E customers may experience planned or unplanned outages for different safety reasons, which I wanted to highlight here on this slide. And those reasons include rotating outages, which is when the state's grid operator, the California Independent System Operator, or CAISO, determines that there is not enough energy supply for customer demand. And this is generally due to statewide extreme heat events. There are also emergency outages when lines are de-energized so that crews can safely repair damage to electric equipment caused by extreme heat, lightning, or other damage. There is planned maintenance or enhancement on equipment which has been scheduled ahead of turning off power. And then there are active wildfires, during which CAL FIRE or other fire agencies request that we shut off power for the safety of the public or first responders, as wildfires can also burn into and damage electrical equipment. And of course, as mentioned, our public safety power shutoffs when power is shut off for public safety during severe weather, such as strong winds, low humidity, and dry vegetation. Next slide. So that's pretty much wrapping it up. This slide here is highlighting the variety of wildfire preparedness tools available for our customers online, including our public safety power shutoff address alerts that I mentioned, information and resources available in more than 250 languages, our weather and PSPS forecasting webpage, preparedness tools and activities for kids, the Safety Action Center, and our backup power webpage. All of these websites and more information about our community wildfire safety program and our wildfire safety efforts can be found at pge.com/wildfire safety. Next slide. And thank you again for your time. Please direct customers with questions to call us at 866-743-6589, or they can email us at wildfiresafety@pge.com. And customers can also visit our dedicated website at pge.com/wildfiresafety for more information on our wildfire safety efforts and tips to help prepare for severe weather and possible power outages. And with that, that concludes our presentation. There are other slides that are included at the end of this presentation that I mentioned to the clerk, which is really just providing more information on PG&E programs and resources that you can provide to the community. But at this time, I'd like to welcome any questions that you may have.
All right. Thank you for a very informative and thorough presentation. Council members, before we get to the audience.
Through the mayor, I just wanted to ask if a nonprofit or a community organization wants to receive some of the assistance, just call the number that you listed at the end of your PowerPoint.
Absolutely. You can pretty much direct any questions there, and it will be routed to the correct internal party that can help them. And I believe I've also reached out to, my information should be with the clerk as well, so that's also an option if there's a community-based organization that would like to reach out to us.
Okay. And the second question is when previously I believe that when electricity or power goes off, it was mostly, are you still being informed by customers directly to let you know when power maybe goes off that is unscheduled by PG&E, or how does that work?
I'm sorry, I couldn't quite hear you. Can you repeat that question?
This is the challenges between our technology, right, and teams. My question was centered around if power just goes off that is not known by PG&E, is this still possibly discovered through when customers contact PG&E that power has gone off, or how does that end up happening?
If the power is turned off by PG&E, we will send out alerts to our customers. If it's not caused by PG&E, I'm not sure if we will have the information of who actually turned off the power But the information, if you call that number, more than likely they'll be able to direct you if they don't have the exact information.
All right, thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
Through the mayor, just repeat what the mayor already said. Thank you for a very informative and thorough presentation. I'm looking at the weather tomorrow, and it's going to be 97 already, May 5th, and so we're all thinking about this because of what's happened in California for the last, 4 or 5 years. But thank you once again for that presentation.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us this evening.
Okay, anyone from the audience here like to make a comment or pose a question? Please state your name.
My name's Thomas Burns, and talk to the people in the foothills about what they think about that shutting off the power when the wind blows. I think it's asinine, and most of them up there do too. So, and I'm curious, how does PG&E call themselves first responders? If I remember right, they're convicted of 5 felonies in the San Bruno incident. I thought that was worth getting an answer to. And I'm reminded of the movie Aaron Brockovich. Remember that movie?
Thank you, Mr. Burns. Anyone else in the audience? Sierra, how about on?
No public comment.
Okay. Well, thank you, PG&E, and those that are on the teams with us for the presentation. Appreciate the information. And we'll keep our fingers crossed that we don't have a major fire season as we've had in the past few years. Thank you again.
Thank you again for having us.
Okay. Item number 3 is COVID-19, discussion and action on measures to mitigate the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. This will be presented by our city manager, Mr. Dave Vaughn.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. Fairly short update. We're entering the second week of the moderate tier. And as everyone knows, I believe our friends over at Yuba County are entering their first week. And so those are representing number of cases going down, which will allow under the new blueprint that the governor put out, more opportunity for us to do things more outdoors. And I know that our community services Director, Mr. McIntyre, is working hard to make sure that we keep pace with expanding those services as the tiers start to shift to lower. So that's all I have.
City Council, any questions for Mr. Vaughn? Seeing none. Anybody from the audience like to make a comment?
My name is Sharon Sheedek. I was at the county board meeting last week, and they had spoken about the COVID and the emergency mandates, about lifting those, and they voted to lift those. So I'd like to see that in the city as well. I had presented an article where they had used the same standards for diagnosing illnesses for the last 17 years, and then when COVID hit, then they had changed it to where it had come out that there were over 161,000 deaths, and once they changed how they had done their process, if they had kept it the same way, there would have only been, I believe it was a little bit less than 9,000 deaths that would have been considered COVID, because a lot of them, they had other comorbidity, they had other underlying conditions, and they had just classified everything as COVID. I know COVID is a serious thing, but I would really like to see things lifted, because I really truly don't believe that they're as bad as the media has said they are.
I will address your first comment because I think it's probably something is on the public's mind with the county's recent action. The city of Yuba City will not be lifting its local emergency proclamation, and this is the reason why. is there were certain things that we learned that were beneficial to our businesses. One of those was outdoor dining, and there were several other things that we want to preserve. And so we will continue to amend our own ordinances to permit, or at least consider permitting, the continued things that went that we found that benefited business. And we do intend to lift the local emergency ordinance, but we're making sure that that we're doing what we think is in the best interest of our businesses so that they can continue to take advantage of those things that were beneficial to them, like outdoor dining.
Yeah, well, it was my understanding that there were two parts to it. One that was the emergency for the funds, and the other had to do with the ordinances, the mandates.
Mm-hmm.
So they had voted to, I believe, to hold off on the emergency and keep that one in place. But as far as the health mandates, to lift those. So that's my understanding. I don't know the depths of what that involves.
Well, as I've mentioned here in this chambers before, there are certain things that the city has control over, and then there are certain things that the county supersedes us on, and certain things that the state supersedes the counties and the cities on. For us, the local emergency, like I said, we intend to lift that, but we're going to do so in a methodical fashion because, again, if we all of a sudden lifted it, then there are certain things that were in place ahead of COVID that would prevent some of our businesses, again, from taking advantage of some of the things that they have found to be beneficial. So our plan is to do that, but we're probably not going to do it as quickly as the county did, predominantly because we have a lot more businesses that are represented in the city than the county has in the county.
Yeah, I'd really like to see all of them open up without the restrictions.
So would I. So would I. Mr. Burns.
Thomas Burns. So really, a business doesn't need your permission to serve food outside, I wouldn't think. But when it comes to the COVID situation and the mainstream media, it's very, very apparent to anybody who's paying attention that they are trying to segment society into two classes. Those that believe in the COVID and are vaccinated, and those that won't be vaccinated. And this is very dangerous to society. And it's quite interesting in this society where, you know, they've got all these little micro parts of society, that they would further try to divide society on that. So I like this slogan, my body, my choice. How about that? Where have we heard that before? So I'm sick of the media trying to shove their vaccine down our throat, okay? And trying to shove their propaganda down our throat. So every individual in this room has the right to do what they feel is right with their own body. Okay? So that needs to be said. Also, I'm really looking forward to ejecting this governor of California. So there you go.
Thank you.
Jason Kahn, Yuba City. Mr. Mayor, you got a couple things right, and you're doing a good job for the most part representing us, but you're getting a couple things wrong. The state doesn't mandate us as a city or a county. You supersede them. And so you need to stand up as a mayor, as our representatives of us as a people. We elected you to stand up for us. And we're telling you, asking you to stand up and open up. We're tired. We're tired. And open up our businesses. We don't need state approval. We need you to say, open up, we're okay. Because Governor Newsom has no right or opinion in Yuba City. The county's getting it right, slowly, methodically. You guys are coming along a little bit slower, but you're getting there. And we ask you to get there a little bit faster. Don't hide behind the curtain, which is the mask, because you're wrong. You have the right, you have the authority to stand up for us as we the people. So we ask you to stand up, because we the people have the right to change what's in front of us, and we will. Thank you.
Thank you.
How you doing, Mayor?
How are you?
Sammy Mendoza, doing well.
Good to see you.
I just wanted to kind of talk about something that you said. You said that it's best for our businesses to stay where they're at because they've gotten benefits from the outdoor seating and stuff like that, right? So, in my argument would be, wouldn't just the best option just be to have them open back as to they were initially, because the entire complication of COVID caused them to have that benefit? So to me, wouldn't the best revenue and the best option for these people that have their small businesses just to open? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. It really doesn't at this point. And you know what he was saying, I think that's major. You should be standing up. If the county's already thinking about doing something, then why aren't we? Why don't we just do it? There's so much time that we're wasting. It's been 3 weeks since I've been here last time, and I think that there's so much that we could be doing and just doing it. You know, we're free Americans. We have the right to free enterprise. We have the right to peaceably assemble, and that's including in a business. So to me, when you're saying that you're going to continue these regulations, you're impeding our constitutional rights, and that's not right. I don't think it's right. And I respect you as a leader. I think you're great, but this can't go on anymore. We're all tired. We're exhausted. And this COVID thing, I'm pretty sure a lot of us don't. We respect you if you want to wear a mask. We get it. We'll social distance. But we have every right as business owners, people that own businesses. I've been talking to a lot of people. They just want to continue on with business as usual. People already are. And I'm saying, like last time I came in here, you guys were saying, oh, but we're kind of doing it, you know, secretively in a way. Saying that, oh, we're not enforcing it, but we're not really saying anything about it. That's what I got from last time. But what I'm saying is, why don't we just say it? Let's open back up, get back to business. So, I don't know if you want to.
Sure. No, I appreciate you visiting us again. I think how I would respond is like this. I think we are open. I do think that, and to your point about the restaurants, there were certain restrictions that the city has imposed for quite some time in regards to where people can eat. And I'm not going to say those restrictions are right or wrong, but they're in place. And so if we all of a sudden pull off this local emergency declaration, which provided us the opportunity to amend those, then we're in conflict with ourselves because we have these regulations. So what we're trying to do is we're addressing this with our business community and saying, look, what worked for you? These are the things that worked for some of our restaurants. We want to rewrite those ordinances so that they have that opportunity to continue those things that are making them survive and making them continue to prosper, and will continue to make them prosper. I understand your concern about us acting in secrecy. I think the city of Yuba City, along with other cities in the state of California, have been very methodical in regards to how they've approached opening. In many cases, I would say that in the city of Yuba City, we've probably done some things that have caused some extra scrutiny from state of California. But we're not closing businesses. Businesses are staying closed on their own choice if they're staying closed. And you know, I'm in this community just like you are. I don't see a lot of businesses closed. I think they're staying open and they're returning to normal. So you're not going to see that come from us as far as, oh, you know, hey, business, you got to close. Those restrictions are coming from some other agency that has some regulatory power over them that we do not have.
Okay. Yes, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jason Kahn again. Mayor, that on another note that you're talking about business, not just places to eat. We're talking just places to shop. I've had police called on me. We're wasting taxpayer money for them to come say I can't shop there because I'm not wearing a mask. It's like, really? Call the cops. It's my constitutional right to shop there. Go ahead and call them. They're not going to do anything. Cops come. It's my right to shop there, whatever. You just wasted taxpayers' money to have the cops come here, to waste their time, to come ask me to leave the store. There's more things more important than that. Come on.
If I would answer this, and I would ask you to consider it only, is that I can't remember who brought it up last time, but Walmart, large corporation, has a you got to wear a mask policy. That's their policy for their company, and they have that right as well as anybody that wants to or not wants to go into that store with a mask on. I can't go into Walmart and say, you can't have a mask ordinance. So if they choose to have one for whatever corporate reasons they have the right to do that as well. I'm not going to say I like it. I'm not going to say I don't like it. It's not for me to make. That's their corporate decision that they make.
Yeah, but if it was, it's not just.
Well, they have rights too, right?
If the city would lift.
The city didn't. The city
would lift it, an ordinance, and say it's free, it wouldn't be a problem.
The city hasn't enacted any mask ordinances from the beginning of this.
Yes, it has.
No, it hasn't.
Yes. They put it out.
Thomas Burns, I want to comment again on this private business, okay? And them running mask programs, or, you know, we know next it's going to be, oh, you're not vaccinated, you're not able to shop here, okay? Now, if I remember right, in my years, it was illegal to discriminate against people for their religious reasons or their thought processes or their skin color, stuff like this, okay? It seems to me now that we've had a little flip and we got the, we have the public-private partnership, you know, which we used to call that fascism. But what we have is the government sanctioning and hiding behind the business while the business does the dirty work of the government. And that's the way I see it.
Thank you.
Hello, I was hoping not to talk today because I had some dental work and I'm wearing this mask by choice, not because, can you hear me?
I would just please ask you to state your name, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Donna Wahlberg.
Thank you.
And I'm wearing this mask by choice. I want you to know I'm an anti-masker. I'm an anti-COVID person. I think the whole thing is a hoax. I think these shutdown orders are ridiculous. There's been no science to support any of this. That being said, I understand, Mayor, you know, I appreciate your service, by the way, all of you.
Thank you.
I understand your position of thinking that the businesses are going to benefit because they are able to have basically a waiver of an ordinance and allow seating and dining where they otherwise wouldn't be able to. Is that what your position is, I believe? So my suggestion is, are you guys working on revising those ordinances right now? And, okay, so once those ordinances are revised, then you will be inclined to lift the order.
That's true.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Okay, anybody online?
No public comment.
Okay. All right, moving to item number 4, which is the appearance of interested citizens. You are welcome and encouraged to participate in this meeting. Due to COVID-19, residents may attend city council meetings in person via web conference or submit written comments by email. Consistent with public health guidelines for social distancing, limited seating is available in the council chamber. If an attendee does not have facial covering, one will be provided. Comments may be made at the council chamber podium. Please participate via web conference or email if you are ill or have been exposed to COVID-19 or any other illness. Public comment will be taken on items listed on the agenda when they are called. Public comment on items not listed on the agenda will be considered at this time. Comments on controversial items may be limited, and large groups are encouraged to select representatives to express the opinions of the group. We ask that you speak clearly and into our microphone, state your name for the record, and again, I would ask, do we have any comments from the public? I will get to you. I have a speaker card, I think. Yes, sir. Anybody else? Anybody?
No public comment.
Okay. At this point, I would like to invite Mr. Ryan Aday to the podium. He has provided a speaker card, and welcome to the podium, sir.
Oh, thank you. Please forgive me, I'm not a great public speaker.
No worries, neither are we.
So I'm the first vice commander with American Legion Post 705 here in Yuba City. In fact, our hall's just right over there. This Flag Day, June 14th, 2021, we are planning the largest flag retirement ceremony this area has seen in who knows how long. It's going to be over at Sutter Cemetery. It'll be on the 14th, which is a Monday, 9 a.m. And we wanted to formally invite City Council and members of the community to come on out. So American Legion Stephen M. Bramer, Post 705, would like to formally invite you to our first flag retirement ceremony this Flag Day, June 14th, 2021 at 9 a.m. Ceremony will be at Sutter Cemetery. This Flag Day, hold on, sorry. Since the early days of our great nation, our flag has represented all of us. This great banner has been carried into every battle since its adoption on June 14, 1777. As our nation grows, our flag has grown with it. The 13 red and white stripes honor the original 13 colonies. And the 50 stars represents the individual states that are united to make up our great nation. Through times of prosperity and times of great peril and hardship, our flag has flown high over our nation and has been a symbol of inspiration and pride. In battle, our soldiers have given their lives to prevent this great symbol just from touching the ground. And it has honored every fallen soldier by being draped across their caskets as they are laid to rest. After all the division we have seen these last few years, we, the veterans of American Legion Post 705, want to remind our community of the importance of our flag. We want to remind everyone that this flag represents all Americans. This banner is a symbol of freedom, hope, and independence. This is not a symbol of hate or oppression, but that of love and compassion. This is a banner that we all should be proud to say that this is our flag, and that this represents all of us. We're asking that members of our community come out and join us this Flag Day to pay honor, respect, and pay tribute to our flag, your flag, our nation's flag. So this Flag Day, please join us as we honor our banner, our American flag. That's pretty much it. I got paperwork I can hand to you. If you're interested, just let us know.
We are interested, and I want to thank you for the invitation. I think I also got an email on that, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, I've been busy. I was out here last week for the county meeting as
Okay.
well.
So, yeah, we appreciate you making us aware, and we will be participating.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thomas Burns again. I want to comment a little bit on that flag situation too. Maybe the National Football League needs a little reminder of what that flag represents, okay? But I want to say this, that the flag of the United States of America should be the only flag, national flag flown in America. That's the way I think. So, and I like the old saying, love it or leave it. Okay, so, but I wanted to talk a little bit more about the PG&E program, okay? because I'm in the foothills a lot in my business, and I talk to a lot of people. None of them are happy about that program. Okay, many of them are forced to get generators and deal with all kinds of extra expense. Okay, I just don't know how we survived all this time without PG&E killing the power. You know, it's unbelievable. But to me, it's another nanny state program, and everybody knows that the PUC and PG&E are, lovers, okay? They sleep together, right? They never deny a rate raise, do they? So, but it also comes down to individual responsibility, okay? And you can run around the foothills because this is where the majority of the problem is. And I've been on people's property, and they've got their trees limbed up, and they've got it dialed in, okay? They're not worried about fire. And then you go to the neighbor's place, and it is, I would use Donald Trump's former language on Haiti, I think it was. But this is what we see out there. So individual responsibility, it needs to take a little bit more center stage. And if your property's a mess, that tells me you're probably pretty lazy. Get out there and clean it up. So that's what I think about it.
Thank you. Anybody else? Sierra?
No public comment.
Okay. Because there are only 3 of us here, I would like to take a short recess. I think I'd like to consult with the city attorney real quick just on procedures for approval of items. So we're going to take a very short recess while I consult with him to make sure that as these items come up for consideration in the rest part of this agenda. This should only take a few seconds or a few minutes, so bear with us. Just for information purposes, my questions of the city attorney and the city manager were, again, in regards to how to address only 3 of us being here. So, and the requirements for approving items on the agenda with just 3 of us here. So there may be some conversation about several of the items later on with my fellow council members about proceeding. So the next item for consideration is the consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine and can be enacted in one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items prior to the time that council votes on the motion unless members of the city council, staff, or public request specific items to be discussed or removed from the consent calendar for individual action. Would anyone from the public like to speak on any of our consent items? Not seeing any. How about from our audience out in technology land?
No public comment.
Okay. Council, I would entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move that we approve the consent calendar items 5, 6, 7, and 8.
A second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the consent calendar is approved unanimously. Okay, item number 9 is Community Development Block Grant CARES Act funding. This will be presented by our Development Services Director, Mr. Ben Moody.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. And so the item before you is in regard to the how we're going to allocate the federal CARES Act fund that came to us via CDBG CV. And so with us tonight is our consultant, Paul Ashby, with Adams Ashby Group. And so he's going to walk through the background and the process that we did to determine a recommendation for the allocation. And so, Paul, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Ben. Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. I hope that you can hear me okay. Thumbs up from somebody. Great, thank you. Okay, I'm going to share my screen, and then I'll work there with the clerk there when needed to move to the next slide. Give me one moment here while it brings it up. Okay, so again, my name is Paul Ashby, Adams Ashby Group. We're a consultant firm that's been working with the city of Yuba City since about February of 2021. Tonight we are going to be reviewing the CDBG CV money, which comes from the CARES Act. And we'll be holding a public hearing at the end of this, taking any public comments, and then asking for council direction. Next slide, please. So a little bit of history on the Community Development Block Grant Program. This was started back in 1974. CDBG's purposes is to provide decent housing, suitable living conditions, and economic opportunities. Primarily, we're always focusing on the low and moderate income groups. The federal government, HUD, Housing and Urban Development, defines that as 80% or below the county median income. And every year, those numbers change. Due to COVID-19, additional funds were awarded through the CARES Act, which we will be referring to as CDBG CV dollars. Due to the size of the city of Yuba City, you are what's known as an entitlement community, meaning that you receive your allocations directly from the federal government. Non-entitlement communities that are smaller compete for these funds every year through the state. But the city of Yuba City just receives their allocation annually. Next slide, please. So the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Securities Act was passed March 27th, 2020, as we're all probably familiar with. Within that was $5 billion in supplemental CDBG funding, which in turn got passed down through the states and then on to local municipalities, cities, counties, and non-entitlement jurisdictions. These funds are used to provide grants to prevent, prepare for, or respond to the coronavirus. Some of the eligible activities you'll see here are very similar to what you always see with your CDBG allocation. There's just a COVID-19 nexus to it. So we have your public services, your public facilities, economic development, and program administration. Next slide, please. So in order to learn what needed to be done in this community with these funds, staff in partnership with our firm did community outreach to try to solicit comments and input from outside organizations and internal departments within the city of Yuba City. So on March 2nd, 2021, we held a public meeting and invited a number of nonprofits in the area, as well as any city staff that would like to participate, to learn about this program and announce the funding availability that they would be able to access. During this meeting, we answered questions and asked these organizations to provide us with a letter of intent to the city of Yuba City. We gave them 2 weeks to respond. The questions were not too difficult. It was really a, who, what, when, where. So we asked about their organization, who they served, what they were proposing to do with the money, a description of the activity, a proposed budget, and a proposed schedule. These were due 2 weeks later. On that due date, the city had received 27 interested applications. 19 were submitted from internal/city departments, while another 8 were submitted from nonprofit or outside organizations not in the city. On April 1st, we then met with the ad hoc committee, which we reviewed these proposals with, and deemed that 16 were at least eligible, quote unquote, to receive these funds, meaning that they passed threshold and were an eligible activity. Next slide, please. So the slide in front of you is what the ad hoc committee determined to be the best use of these funds. As you can see there, the city of Yuba City has a total of $824,716 at its disposal. You may have seen some of these monies come through the county and other cities locally. I would just like to remind everybody that this money came in 2 different tranches or allocations, we'll call them, CV1 and CV3. So the numbers that you're seeing in front of you tonight represent both of those allocations. So this is the total pot of money that came from the CARES Act. I'll quickly run through each of these programs. Two of the members on the ad hoc committee I know are on the city council, so they're quite familiar with these projects, but just in case anybody else hasn't seen or heard these. So the first one you see there is the Parks Department for a senior center building repairs for a new HVAC unit for the ventilation there for the prevention of COVID-19. We have a mobile recreation program ran by the city of Yuba City. The idea would be to have equipment, accessible recreation items for low-income individuals to use during social distancing. Schools aren't in place, camps aren't happening, so we're trying to give people another option to enjoy recreation and outdoors. Mortgage assistance program. This is to help low-income homeowners who are behind and in arrears on their mortgage payments due to coronavirus. So we would need to show some sort of financial hardship from these families, these households, and the idea there would be to catch them up for a period not to exceed 100 days at this point with mortgage assistance. Just to point out, in case the public is interested, there is the option to also include rental assistance. At this time, the state of California has released $2 billion for an emergency rental assistance program known as ERAP, which is coming out right now. And so we've been hearing from HUD that we should probably focus this more on homeowners while the rental program takes shape and those funds get put out. The next two you'll see there for the fire department, we have a PPE facility upgrade as well as purchasing additional PPEs to protect firefighters when they're responding to pandemics. And then the last four there you'll see are from outside organizations. So we have REST, which is proposing to use monies for the emergency winter shelter program. FREED, which is a dining at home program, a meal voucher program, and the idea is to assist those that are homebound, seniors, those that are sheltering in place so that we can get them a nutrition meal. Playseum, this is, excuse me, this is for their scholarship program and camp programs that they run out at the parks, again, for families that would not be able to afford that. And then lastly, Adventist Health, which is proposing a food security program as well. So the total there is $783,000. The city of Yuba City is proposing to take 5% for administration. I would like to point out that that's very small for these funds. HUD does allow for administration to go all the way up to 20%. And so city staff felt if they took just a small portion to cover their time, the rest of it could get out into the community where it is needed. Next slide, please. So what we are asking council to do tonight and what we are recommending is we need to what's known as substantially amend your 2021 action plan. Every year you submit an annual plan to HUD that tells them what you are going to be doing with CDBG money and how you're going to be spending it. Because these funds were not identified previously when you submitted your action plan, we now need to amend that document to include this $800,000 from the CARES Act. So this will go as a substantial amendment, and we are also amending your citizen participation plan, which HUD allows you to modify due to the coronavirus. It typically allows for a 30-day comment period. Due to the coronavirus, they've shortened that to 5 days. So we are amending your citizen participation plan to include that as well. Next slide, please. So again, our recommendation tonight would be to open the public hearing, receive any public comments, close public hearing, and then authorize staff to move forward with submitting the required documentations to HUD for the CDBG CV funding. Once it goes to them in a period of probably 30 days, it sounds like, we would receive a funding agreement, and then we would actually be able to execute these agreements within departments and outside organizations to utilize this money. And the alternative would be to not approve this substantial amendment and provide us with a different recommended projects for funding and further direction on how you would like us to allocate the CDBG CV monies. Next slide, please. And that will do it for my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions that the council may have at this time. Thank you very much.
Before we get started with the questions, I just want to acknowledge the work of our Development Services Department, Ben and Jaspreet and George Barlow for their help with this project. monitoring the money and the strings that are attached with getting the money. It's not often that we get to return some tax dollars back to the community. I have a quick question of the city attorney. I notice on my agenda there isn't a place here for the public hearing. Is this required?
That's a very good question. Let me check into that because you're right.
In the meantime, I think I would like to turn it over first to Councilwoman Espandola. She served with me on the ad hoc committee for this CARES Act funding, and it was good that the outreach, we got a lot of really good projects. And so anyway, I'd like you to go ahead and kick it off if you would, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I really appreciate, I like to echo exactly what you just said about our team working together on this particular identifying potential projects that would utilize these monies. And I also, want to acknowledge Paul and Lori, thank you, who have worked with our team and done a really good job. What is impressive this cycle of what we've asked from the previous last year, or was it last year or the year before? I can't recall now with all the work that we've been doing, that to really reach out to projects within our city to identify how we can increase the service level for low, moderate community. And so it was very impressive. And I think that Ben worked internally with our team to reach out and identify some of those projects. It was difficult to decide. It was not an easy choice, but one of the things that the mayor and I immediately agreed on was the mortgage assistance program. We felt very strong about assisting community members who are struggling to paying their mortgage. I have been doing multiple years of work in homeless issues, and one of the things that I believe, and I think the mayor concurs with this, is homeless prevention programs are much greater effective, and this aspect of the mortgage assistance program, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to keep people in their homes and not end up potentially being in deeper issues within the system and the community. We already have a challenge big enough with our homeless community at times, as we all have experienced personally or from others. And so this project is, I think the process has gone really well this year, and not just because we were involved in it, but I think that our team has, and Ben, thank you for really listening and making those accommodations and changes to the things that we've been looking for and asking. So you and your team have done a great job on that, so I just want to commend you on that. So thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome, Councilman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for your patience. I've conferred with staff. This has been noticed as a public hearing in the newspaper and in all the notices that have gone out. Okay. My recommendation is to open a public hearing on this item this evening.
Okay.
Thank you.
I don't have anything to add, Mayor.
Okay. All right. Before we open up a public hearing, I just, again, want to acknowledge the fact that there was a lot of outreach here, which, at least in my time with the city, both on the council and perhaps even as a city employee, I don't know that I ever witnessed that. I mean, this is an effort to really get out and solicit applications. One of the things that you might wonder about is, well, if that's the case, how come the city is participating in this and is eligible for CDBG money, especially under the CARES Act? And we look at ourselves as serving at least 68,000 people. So when we do something that funds something within the city, it's benefiting a lot of people, our entire citizenship. The mobile outreach to the recreation programs in the parks, that's taking programs that folks might not be able to access, at one of the other facilities into their neighborhood. I think this is important. The The items for the fire department, sort of near and dear to my heart, but those first responders, you know, we need to make sure that as they're out doing the business that they do with individuals, that they don't put themselves in harm's way by being subjected to any kind of foreign body or bloodborne pathogen or anything like that. It's tough because there's a bunch of good applications. So we really did try to prioritize and figure out where we felt that we could get the biggest bang for the buck. Of course, if we had unlimited funding, we'd be fully funding all of these eligible applications. But at the same time, that's just not possible. We are looking to continue with this momentum as other CDBG programs come up, and I know we'll be talking about those in the future. This is the first round, and this is CARES Act money. I also would like to say to the Adams-Ashby group, thank you. You were very patient with a lot of questions and figuring out what was eligible and what wasn't eligible. I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing. The public hearing on the Community Development Block Grant CARES Act funding is now open. If there are any members of the public who would like to address the council on this issue, please provide your statement via public comment. State your name and address for the record. Do we have any comments from the public on this item? And is there anybody here that would like to speak on it? Yes, sir, Mr. Burns.
So Thomas Burns, 1885 Greengate Street, Yuba City. I was, checking out some stuff up in Shasta County, and I heard that some of these money that are coming, in this CARES Act, that it was money that had to be spent and then is reimbursed. Is that how it's going, or is it money that is sent and then allocated out? So, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Mr. Moody?
So Paul, please correct me, but if it comes through like the standard HUD CDBG, they allocate the money and then we make a draw once it's accounted for. So we pay and then then we get reimbursed.
So
yeah, that's correct. So once a funding agreement is completed, the money will show up in your IDIS account, which shows a grant balance. CDBG though is always based on a reimbursement basis. So once you've expended it, you will then draw down what's known as a voucher for a reimbursement request.
So we have to spend the money, then get reimbursed, and we have plenty of money to spend, I take it.
I don't know that we have plenty of money, but we have sufficient funds to cover what we have proposed, yes. Anybody else? How about online?
No public comment.
Okay. Hearing no further comment. Oh, yes. Oh, sorry.
Sammy Mendoza, 547 North Harding Road, Yuba City. Just for the money, I guess a question that I was told to ask is the allocation of the money. Is it determined by the city, like how the money is going to be spent, where it's going to be spent, or is it already preconceived as to where it's going to go and how it's spent?
Probably best handled on the percentages for you.
Yeah, so I guess just to highlight, this is a tough funding source. I mean, to be clear, it has to meet federal requirements, plus it has to be directly tied to COVID to prevent and be associated with COVID-related distress. And so it's a really tough pot of money. And so with that, the ad hoc committee did a really great job because we took really those 27 applicants, $2+ million, and what was not eligible, what wasn't from HUD, and then what was available, and then try to work to fund everybody in there with that pot of money to what we had available. And so, yes, it's through this public process right now that you could voice your opinion and it can be modified, but it is decided by the city. Tonight is what's happening as to where it's being allocated. And this recommendation in front of you is based on a lot of work to qualify these funds and these programs that meet all of those criteria.
So in essence, it's just going to be helping our community anyways, and it's just, but it has to meet the federal regulations as to where it goes.
Correct.
Okay.
Hi, Donna Wahlberg again. I have a question. Does receipt of these funds take away any of your independence or power or authority and give it over to federal or state government?
Not that I'm aware of. These were issued through the CARES Act, the Federal CARES Act that distributed across the country, and it came through a formula process based on our population and our entitlement, our existing entitlement restrictions.
Okay, and so the guidelines that you have to follow, like their HUD guidelines? Or?
There's federal guidelines regarding prevailing wage rates, regarding bidding procedures, regarding just the auditing and reporting and the accounting of the funds and how that directly ties to the certain income levels and the use.
Okay.
And so it's trying to find a program, trying to find a need that balances all of that. It becomes tricky for the community.
Yes. Now, does that apply just to these the plans related to the use of these funds, or does that put you in a position where your whole city plan has to comply with their guidelines, where you have to now start doing a demographic study and submit an onerous report every year, that kind of thing, or?
There's different pots of money. These federal monies do not require any sort of expansion of this program.
Okay, thank you very much, appreciate it.
I would add that, the costs that are borne by the city, that's part of that administration fee, that 5% that Mr. Moody chatted about, that helps us administer the program. Mr. Burns.
Now, I'm curious, I hear a lot of guys saying that we had to put in extra work and, and this has been real hard and tough and stuff like that. So are we working weekends or nights, extra time, overtime, or is that volunteer work, or what's going on?
I think the difficulty is just sorting through very valid applications with a finite amount of money. I think that's what you hear us talking about with hard work. For the councilwoman and myself, in theory, we're not getting paid for that, and I don't mind that. And I know she doesn't mind it either.
Oh, okay.
But the majority of this work does occur on staff time during the middle of the day.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Through the mayor, I just would like to add, the questions that you're bringing forward are really good questions. So I really appreciate the insight, the clarity, and some additional views about things that, as a city, that we need to communicate. So you're doing a really good job of asking those really hard questions. So thank you.
All right. I think I was ready to close the public hearing. I just want to make sure, going once, going twice, anything online? Okay. Closing the public hearing and bring it back to the council for action.
Through the mayor,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to authorize staff to submit requirement documents to HUD for CDBG funding.
Yeah. Tongue twister.
Item B and C.
Item B.
Approve, in addition to that, approve substantial amendment to 2020-2021 action plan reflecting $824,716 in CDBG-CV funding, and also approve CPP amendment.
Second.
And I have a motion by Councilperson Kirchner, a second by Councilperson Espandola. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion passes unanimously. Mr. Ashby, thank you for being online. And again, Mr. Barlow, Jaspre, Ben, thank you for your work, and also Councilwoman Espandola.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council members.
Okay, item 10. This is item 10, which is Richland Village Affordable Housing. And there's a lot of money being asked for here. So what I am proposing to my fellow council members is that we continue this item until we have our other two colleagues here to discuss it. I think out of respect for them and the amount of money that's being discussed, it would be well intended to have them here.
Right, I agree with you, and also in consideration that Councilperson Harris is on the Richland, Housing Board, so, the Sutter County, what is it? The Sutter County?
Regional Housing Authority.
Thank you, Regional Housing Authority Board on that, so I think it would make a good decision, so I would support that.
I agree.
Do we need a formal vote?
Mr. Mayor, if you would, it'd be a formal motion to continue this matter to the next regular meeting.
All right, through the mayor,
Please.
I'd like to make a motion that we continue this next board meeting.
I second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to continue item 10. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so item 10 will be continued. Similarly, the shopping cart ordinance number 11 was one that was brought forward by the vice mayor. And again, unfortunately, he's dealing with a family issue and is not here. So once again, I would ask the council if they would consider continuance on this item as well.
Through the mayor, I move that we continue item 11 for the next council meeting.
Second that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to continue item 11 to the next council meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any
Thank you for
opposed?
those that were here, none of,
Yeah, no, I will,
sorry, thank you.
yeah.
Have a good evening.
And Mr. Becerra, I think I see you online. I apologize for that on item number 10, but our promise is to deal with it first up on our next meeting.
I understand, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. I believe the next meeting is it May, 2 weeks from today, May 18th?
Affirmative, yes.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, item number 12 is amendment to lease of the Madden House for the Yuba City Chamber of Commerce offices. And this presentation will be by our city manager, Mr. Dave Vaughn.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, good evening. That got to my item really quickly. And so with us in the audience this evening is Ms. Marnie Sanders, not only CEO of the Chamber of Commerce, but Fire Ops 101 graduate. And so she did a lot of repelling and putting out fires and extrication of cars and all that over the weekend. So it was a really great opportunity to learn more about our fire department. But tonight the matter at hand is to discuss the extension of the existing lease that we have in place with the Chamber of Commerce. They are currently still reeling from the impacts of COVID, trying to get their membership up and going. They're doing a membership drive, which I believe started today. Will be going on today and tomorrow, which I know many people are focusing on to assist. But we're asking tonight to adopt a resolution to approve the amendment, the third amendment to the Yuba City Chamber of Commerce lease to move the extension of their current lease through December 2021.
Okay. Council, questions for Mr. Vaughn?
No, I have no questions.
Okay. Any comments from the public on this item? Seeing none here.
No public comment.
Okay. Before we ask the council for action, I just want to know, Ms. Sanders, were you afraid of heights? Oh, okay, darn it. I know the city manager was. Would you like to speak on this item? Yes, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Yes, I thank you for considering the extension of our rent at $1 a month. It's absolutely appreciated. Like many businesses, we're just getting back up and running, and this is going to help us considerably if you do decide to support this. We did have our first day of our 2-day membership drive, which was phenomenal today. But I think as we get on solid footing, this is truly going to help us in our efforts, not just to to get on that solid footing, but to start to grow again. And so I absolutely appreciate the partnership that we have with the city of Yuba City. You have been great partners, and I just want to say thank you, regardless of what the decision is. I've just appreciated getting to know all of you and working with the city, so thank you. Well, welcome to the chamber.
I rejoined today.
Rejoined.
Well, I got 2 calls today from 2 different people.
So, Mr. Lodge, you might get one tomorrow.
Well, we appreciate the partnership with the chamber and all you're doing to support businesses and the things that I personally, and I think the rest of us have seen as far as your outreach to try to assist businesses with the programs and having to do stuff via web and Zoom and all those other things. It's noticed, and the outreach, I think, has made a difference for those businesses. Okay, City Council.
Sorry, I moved to items A and B on the recommendations of the report.
A second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilperson Espandola, second by Councilperson Kirchner. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion passes unanimously. Thank you for your partnership again. Okay, item number 13 on our agenda is the Vogue Stewart Master Plan, and we'll be discussing the Master Tax Exchange Agreement process with the Sutter County. I wish that the Vice Mayor was here because he and I have shared time on the ad hoc committee, which is also made up of Supervisor Flores, Chairman Flores, Supervisor Conant, along with the County Administrative Officer, Steve Smith, and of course our City Manager, Dave Vaughn. This has been a very interesting negotiation process, I can tell you, from a person who does a fair amount of negotiation in their regular business life. This has been one of the more challenging ones, but I think we are at the goal line. I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Mr. Vaughn. I know that the council has heard that we're at the goal line several times, and we there was a goal line stand. we didn't punch it across, but I think we may finally be there. And the key points are an exchange of the property taxes and an opportunity to reopen the agreement down the line. And that in and of itself, I think, guarantees some fairness for both entities, the county and the city. At the end of the day, what we're here to do, along with our friends at the county, is clear the path for development. And I know we have Mr. Lanza in the room as well. He may want to speak later on, but right now I'll I will ask Mr. Dave Vaughn to present on this item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you know, this has been an ongoing process for probably the better part of 5 years. I know the last 14 to 18 months has been aggressive back and forth negotiations, and since I've only been here 55 days, I've got to give a whole lot of credit to Diana Langley, who's really been carrying the water for the city from the staff's perspective. Thank you. But from my goal tonight is really to give you an overview of what the Master Tax Exchange Agreement looks like based on recent feedback that we've had with the county as of today. And so what this would do is provide a property tax split, 68% to the county, 32% to the city. Of that, the sales tax split would be 10% to the county, 90% to the city. And all of these revenues are based on full build-out, which we know we're still building out the current Walton Master Tax Exchange Agreement. So that's been on for 20 years. So this is really based on a real future of what's happening, which is why the county and the city reached an agreement to provide reopener language that provides either party the opportunity to be able to come back to the table should they see things going in an alternative direction. So at full build-out, revenues are estimated to be for the county $3.6 million, for the city $5.1 million. Estimated expenses at build out are around 2.7 for the county and around 4.5 for the city. These are all really speculated out based on what we know today. And estimated net revenues at build-out provides the county around $900,000 and will provide the city right around $573,000. Next slide. With that, you see on the screen, which is a modified reopener language, which provides both the city and county the opportunity to roll through, and if they've got issues, they can bring it forward, whether at any time, to be able to reopen the agreement and have adequate discussion. And it provides the opportunity for us to utilize third parties in order to help us reach agreement should we need to.
Having been around when the original master tax exchange agreement that exists for West Yuba City, I think this reopener language is critical, just because things change. Right now, we are modeling what we think is going to happen with that Bogue Stewart master plan to the best of our ability. And, you know, things change. You have no idea, but the models provide for the city of Yuba City to cover its costs for the services that it delivers. And through this process, it also covers those things that the county continues to need as far as revenue for the missions that they have in this particular area. I also would want to take a moment to acknowledge the efforts of Diana, who has been with this process for the majority of the time, and always a voice of reason, and always technically competent, and Mr. Moody as well, for the help that he's provided here, as we've, especially over the last year or so when we've really been moving things out. Yeah, as much as both parties, I think, are trying to do what they feel is best for each other, and you know, sometimes those meetings get a little spirited. I do believe that this is a collaboration between the county and the city that's in the best interests of both entities, and I'm encouraged that if we take action to provide this, the city with the direction to finalize the agreement and bring it back for our consideration on the next council meeting, I believe, and Mr. Vaughn, you can clarify that the county will also be taking this up at their next meeting.
That is my understanding.
Mr. Alonzo, did you have anything you wanted to say?
David Alonzo, 1074 Richland Road. Yeah, no, I've been here the whole time, and I want to thank Diana too, and Mark, you in particular. I've known every city council person for probably the past 20 years, and you got in there and you figured this out. It was tough. I'll answer any questions, but I think that's the best thing I've seen out of this whole thing, where you guys agree to see what happens. I think that's the perfect solution. I've said this in meetings. You don't know what you don't know. And I did the 2001 with Diana master tax agreement, and that turned out completely different than we thought it would. So, if I could answer any questions or do anything, my partners or the other landowners are all online, texting me, because that's how we do it in 2021. So I have everybody here if there's any specific questions for the Baines group and or my partners, the Dales. So.
Any questions from the council for Mr. Alonzo or the other entities that are involved?
I don't have any questions, but this is a big one.
Yeah.
This is a big one. And I'm the new guy, and I know that, but just talking with our city manager not too long ago, this has been in the works for 5 years. And so this is a big one, and I appreciate the mayor and the vice mayor, their hard work with the ad hoc, our new city manager, and also Ms. Diana Langley and Ben Moody with this, and moving the city and the county forward. Things are looking great. So thank you once again.
Mayor, I just would like to say that the moment that the opportunity arose to reopen these conversations, you immediately said, I want to be on that. I want to help get this done. I think the fact that you had been a city employee and have a business really offered that leadership and that momentum. And honestly, I believe the relationships with our supervisors in the county that really helped mend and gel some of those issues that had been lingering in this community for so long. And so I just like to thank you for bringing this forward to us. I've been anxiously waiting. It feels a bit like Christmas in a different time of the year for the community, for all of us. So thank you so much. And I also appreciate Vice Mayor Dave Shaw and his willingness to step in and help and really bring all of this together as with your support and his. So thank you so much. But the team of our city, Diana Langley, has just been Moody. I mean, we keep repeating these names over and over. I think that the recognition, their work, it is often weekends, late nights. I know this because we text and they're working. They're doing these amazing things and giving up time with their own families, with their own needs, and putting our community and our city first, in all fairness, to be truthful with you all. And Dave Vaughn, our new city manager, who says, I've been here 55 days, or I lost count at how many days he's been here, but
53.
see, the whispered dates. Thank you so much for picking it up and not missing a beat, and then bringing new insights, new versions of trying to identify a way to get to where we're at now. And Lonza, I just want to say that thank you for not giving up on us. Mm-hmm. Seriously, because this is going to be the legacy of the future of the city. And so bringing in homes, commercial, schools, opportunity on the other side of our city, policing, fire, all of those things are going to be increasing here. And I hope that when you break ground out there, I'll be out there shoveling with you, and I appreciate that so much. I agree with you. Let's move forward. So based on your report, Dave Vaughn, I think you have a revised recommendation on the report based to this, correct? Is that?
Hold off for just a second.
Thank you.
Through the mayor.
I want to acknowledge
I
the
apologize,
patience.
Mayor,
No worries. I acknowledge the patience of Mr. Lanza, the Baines Group, and Mr. Dale. They have been patiently, I don't know if patience is the right word, but waiting anyway for the county and the city to get this done for quite some time. And it is a good moment, and we'll keep the pressure on this thing to get it done and wrapped up on our end and on the county's end as well. But again, I do want to message out to our county partners that this is a two-way negotiation, right? I mean, we both want to come out with what we needed to get done, and we got there. At least I believe we got there, and I'm looking forward to May 18th when we can officially approve an agreement that they have approved as well. So anyway, back to your group and your partners. I think I think we're actually on the line, and if we under further review, to use an NFL term, hopefully we will get there. So I just wanted to mention that. Go ahead.
I apologize. That's the disadvantage of me here and can't always see eyes behind my head. But the clarity on the recommendation, you modified the recommendation, correct?
Yes, Councilmember. We're looking for guidance from council to go back, finalize the agreement, to bring back a final draft agreement to council on May 18th for review and approval.
And that would include the 68%, 32% property tax share, the 10% sales tax share, and with a reopener language.
That is correct.
Okay.
I move that we do that.
Good.
I'll second that.
Through the mayor, if I may.
Always.
I know this is very exciting, but I think we may have cut public comment a little bit short, and we may not have checked for online comment.
Absolutely. I was a little exuberant, sorry. Been a long time.
I'm excited as well.
Yes.
This is amazing we've got this.
Yes,
one. This is
okay.
great.
Thank you for pointing that out. I'd hate for something not to happen on a technicality.
Exactly.
Okay, anybody in the audience like to speak on this item?
So I'd like to, for the public to get a little more clarity on what's going on here because it looks like we've got agreements made, but some of us might not even know the whole scope of what's happening, a little review. This is a big city development, right? And a whole section of the city is going to be built up. Or could you clarify that?
Yeah, I can try to clarify some of it, and I probably want to use staff's help, Mr. Moody and Ms. Langley and Mr. Vaughn for some of it. So when land lies within the city's sphere of influence, but it's not officially within the city, then it lies within the county. And before that land can be annexed into the city, there has to be a quote-unquote master tax sharing agreement struck between the city and the county. So that's what's been going on for the last few years and picked up a lot of pace over the last year was how to fairly distribute monies that would be generated in tax revenue, property tax, sales tax, et cetera, from this area if and when it is annexed into the city. So that's the precursor. And none of this land is yet in the city, but this paves the way now for this land to be considered to be annexed, which has to go through a whole process itself through the Local Agency Formation Commission, known as LAFCO. So if this agreement gets signed by both parties, which I hope is where we're at tonight and where the county will be probably next Tuesday, I hope, then that tax share agreement clears the way for the developers to petition for annexation into the city. And that process in and of itself will take a period of time. I don't know how long that would. Mr. Moody might be able to talk more about that period of time, but that's the scenario here. What you saw as far as all the dollars and all that is the county and the city got together and estimated their cost to serve this area. And in this particular area, it's mixed use. There's some park land, there's some commercial land, there's some residential land, there's some multifamily land in here. But it's all, as is most of the stuff, it's all conceptual. But that's where the dollar figures come up for is how do you provide police, fire, roads, water, sewer. County has human health services, the jail, et cetera. So that's where all the discussion comes on how the dollars are shared. Does that help? Okay. Did I miss anything? Ben, Diana? Okay.
Got it, Mayor.
Good for me. Okay.
Anybody
Any other
online?
questions in the room? How about online?
No public comment.
Yeah.
Now can I make my motion?
Ask Shannon.
Shannon, may I make my motion?
Actually, I think the motions have been made and seconded, and that was
So-
I think you have one more public
I'm
comment.
sorry, there's
Mayor?
another person I think is interested.
Okay. Please.
Is this for the development that I've heard where they're going to put in a bunch of residentials and
Well-
some commercial and is it land that's going to be developed that's getting annexed?
That's,
Or-
the potential is there. I just want to make sure you understand there's lots of different things that are going on all over the city in regards to different developments right now. So I hope I'm addressing your question as a yes. This particular portion is down in the southern part of the city.
Okay, yeah, I was told, I'm a real estate agent, and about 3 or 4 years ago, they came to one of our board meetings, and they were talking about all the residential buildings that they were gonna start building. So I was just wondering if this was part of that property down by Bogue?
Yes.
Okay.
We do have a motion, we do have a second. All those in favor of providing the direction signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Off you go. All right. Item 14 is appointments to the City of Yuba City Parks and Recreation Commission. We'll be continuing that to a future meeting. Item 15 is future agenda items. Any future agenda items, Mr. Kirchner, Ms. Espandola? All right. Coming to the home stretch here, reports and communications, city council reports. First up, be Council Member Espindola.
The Mayor, I was hoping you would go first this time. You never get to go first. Would you like to go first?
I will go first next year.
Okay. Sounds great. I think my report's going to be pretty brief. Last couple weeks, there haven't been any of my committee assignments, any meetings. So it's been a slow pace on committee assignments. We did attend a special council meeting on team building with our council and our city manager. That was awesome. We had our annual employee awards dinner. That was so well done. A drive-in theme at our water treatment, and the committee who organized that event, fantastic. It was perfect. The weather was great. The awards, the recognition, and it's all organized and funded through employees of the city. So that's the majority of it is, and that's really important. So thank you so much for including us in recognizing, connecting, and really being a family-oriented event. So thank you. Also, I've had a couple of discussions with Yuba College president, and we're going to have some lunch with her. One of the things that I want to clarify is that many community members believe, I think, that Yuba College is not hosting classes in person. The reality is they've been doing a hybrid setup, some virtually and some in person, and they've been doing that actually, I think, since April of last year. They haven't stopped. So they're going to be reopening the Sutter, or they have reopened the Sutter Center last week, which is down from here on Highway 99. And we're going to be exploring ideas on youth opportunities. We also had a follow-up just on the homeless workshop, Mayor and Council Member. I wanted to share that we had our city committee, internal committee meeting with the homeless workshop that we're going to be putting together. We have a cross-functional representation across from the city. Everyone seemed really engaged and committed. We are going to be working on looking into understanding and improving the quality of the data, the resources, and we're going to put together a plan of action to follow up on some of these items, and we're going to meet again. We're exploring of coordinating with the presentation with our Sutter County Board of Supervisors. So I wanted to get your input. What would you like to have it how we did it a couple of years ago, where you were not here yet, council member, but coordinated with the Board of Supervisors and the presentation of what we learn about the city and all that? Would you like to have us do that again? Okay. All right. That's the answer. One question I had for all of you. So I just wanted to thank our city manager, Dave, in really making sure that we get this done. And the idea is to improve the quality of life of community and really get into resolving our homeless issue. And we're going to bring forward additional information in future council meetings so everyone's informed. And the last thing I would like to share, well, tomorrow morning, I'm going to help out with the chamber too. So if you've already been called and I call you, can you just answer the phone? Just pretend like you didn't get a call, and then I might ask you what level you might be getting. So Mayor, if I call you like 5 times, please don't block me or anyone else in the room here, okay? Lastly, I want to acknowledge that tomorrow is Cinco de Mayo. Many individuals obviously know this is a holiday that celebrate, but the reality of this celebration is that in May 5th of 1862, there was a battle, a victory battle over France. France wanted to take over part of Mexico, and so the Mexican army said, no, we're not going to have it. So they had a battle at in Puebla, which is near Mexico City, and on that day, they won the battle, known as the Battle of the Puebla Day. And in that, it was the President Benito Juarez, who was one of the first indigenous presidents in Mexico, who also, the French, were interested in assassinating him and taking over the country. So this is the significance of Cinco de Mayo. It's not the independence of Mexico or any of those things. That's what Cinco de Mayo represents. And in that, and actually the celebration of Cinco de Mayo occurred in California. It actually started in 1880s, and they started celebrating this victory, this battle. And so from there on, it's just moved into a culture in our communities, in the celebration of Mexican culture, the heritage, and the participation of Mexican Americans in the United States. And that's how you find now the Cinco de Mayo happens to be another celebration. And from what I understand, it's the second day that has the highest sales in beverages of alcohol, second to the Super Bowl. So talk about money generating, but also the concern that I bring that up is that if you are going to celebrate, please have a designated driver. Please be safe about your consumptions and everything else, but understand that that was a battle between the Mexicans and the French, Viva Mexico, that they won. And so that's why we're celebrating Cinco de Mayo. So if you're going to celebrate, you're celebrating Mexican heritage, a battle that was won by the Mexican army and with Benito Juarez, who was the president during that time. So thank you. Second to the Super Bowl, so there you go.
Mr. Kirschner.
You're the mayor. Thank you for that history lesson. Yes, so as Councilperson Espinola mentioned, we attended on April 23rd, the city recognized and had a dinner to show its most valuable assets, how much they're appreciated, and that's our employees. So we attended that and had a soapbox race, and generally had a good time. I was in charge of congratulating the 5-year anniversary for our employees. I attended SASA, which is one of the boards I'm on, which is animal control. It was my first one because the first one I should have been on was canceled. We attended quarterly. We talked about several things, one of which being that the current supervisor position and was being merged with a vet tech position to save money. They are going to move forward because they need additional kennel. They need an additional kennel attendant and also extra help. And I believe that's because they're moving into the summer months. They are going to start a pilot program, which is interesting, which is called, and it's targeted for feral cats, which is called Trap, Neuter, and Release, which has worked out in other communities, excuse me, to limit that population humanely, I might add. Something that was, I'm sorry, I did forget one thing. During that meeting, we did move to retain Council Member Vice Mayor Shaw as the Vice Chairman, and also Supervisor Mike Ziegemeyer as our Chair. That passed unanimously. In closing, Supervisor Baines mentioned something about the chickens, and I didn't realize we had a chicken problem in Yuba City, which was news to me. But the committee is moving that till the next committee to talk about that. So that's what's going on with that. What was alluded to earlier, I was privileged, excuse me, to be invited to a fire academy. There were 12 of us there. our city manager, Dave Shaw, was there, Ms. Sanders, who was here earlier, myself, and also council member Harris was there, including 8 other people. And the idea behind the Fire Academy is to show the rest of us how difficult that job is. And boy, I'll tell you, my eyes were opened. The first part of that was a presentation, and different presentations on last Thursday night. And we were fitted in our gear. What's that called again?
PPE or turnouts.
Okay. And just the presentation alone, I came home and I was talking to my wife about it all night. And I'm telling you, I learned so much about just a physical, mental drain on people in that profession. And you get into the suicide rates, the inherent risk on their health while they're in that job and later on. It was extremely informative. And then Saturday was the big day where we were broken up into groups. One group was placed in a situation that mocked what it's like for them to show up in a house where you have one spouse that's not responding and you have the other one that's hysteric, and then you have the medics show up, and just how stressful it is. The second activity they had us participate in was rappelling off a 4-story building, which I've never done before, and that was fun. And then we were given the opportunity to actually use some of their equipment to cut open vehicles to show what it's like, how in full gear, by the way, and how difficult that is when they have to extricate an individual out of a situation like that. And then lastly, we were taken out to the fire station on Oilier Road, where in the back of their facility, they have a large shipping container where they can simulate what it's like to be in a structure when it's on fire. And so you're in full gear with the oxygen tank on your back, and it's hot, it's loud, it's stressful, and you've got smoke, you can't see anything. And so, man, if there was a way that more of our community could experience that, holy smokes. Like I said, my hat's off to the folks that do that day in and day out. I think Chief Alexander for just the opportunity to do that. It was very informative and something I'll never forget. And I think that about does it. Over to you.
Through the mayor, can I ask Councilman Kushner a quick question? Do you mind? My question is with the animal shelter. Mm-hmm. You and I have talked about the chickens that do not belong to anyone. I had a conversation with our director, Brad McIntyre, at one time, and Megan, I believe. We did a little walk around looking. So I'm just interested in how, I haven't circled back with Brad to find out what the action plan is to help with some of these issues. But if you can carry that forward, I would really appreciate that, because I'm no longer on that committee, and you are, and I'm seeing that you're going to be excellent there. So
yeah, absolutely, I'd be happy to address that. This is one of those issues where the perception is that, well, first of all, there's a lot of misperception in the public that somehow the city owns the chickens, because we've had public city employees that have been approached by business owners saying, "Hey, there's a perception that the city owns them. The city doesn't own them." In addition to that, you have folks that really, really like them, and then you have folks that really don't. And so it can be an emotional issue. The concern is that it might become a health problem. More specifically, and I'm not picking on this one particular business, but in the Winco area, where people, and I've seen it, where it's not just the bird seed that they bring out, it's everything else. And according to Supervisor Baines, that brings out the rats. When he was campaigning recently, last year, that is, District 4 is his district, and so he was going door to door, apartment in that area, and that's what he heard over and over. Why can't the city do something about this? And so, to answer your question, the challenge is going to be how to present it to the public where it looks like it's a good idea, where it's done humanely. When I was on the Sutter County Grand Jury in 2016, I asked that question, and the animal control over on Garden Heights, well, they'll accept them if they're trapped, and they'll bring them in. Because there are ranchers and farmers that will take them in, and so I guess as a city, we have to have a consensus of what moving forward we want to do. Because again, it's strange as you asked the question. It can be an emotional issue to some people. Unfortunately, for those of us that ride our bikes around town, we see the ones that don't make it across the street or the highway. And so we're going to take this issue to task at our next meeting, and I will report back to the council on that. But real quickly, can I ask you a question?
The mayor, can he?
And I'll make this short. Do you know why France invaded Mexico?
Do you know the answer?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, goodness. Is this Jeopardy or where are we at? Okay.
So they were collecting debt. Mexico is heavily debt in
Here we go. Okay, so let's just leave it at the Batalla of Puebla and Mexican Army. Cinco de Mayo. Thanks.
Okay. We're not going to blows, right? All right. Okay, I'll be tomorrow. Yeah, Cinco de Mayo. Yeah. First, I would like to acknowledge the work from Chief Alexander in providing the Fire Ops 101. Fortunately for me, I was in Kansas watching one of my kids play baseball, so I didn't have to re-experience those moments of fire and sliding down ropes anymore. But I did kind of miss not being there, and I'm glad that they did that, and I'm glad that all those that I've talked to enjoyed the experience. I think that was good. I would like to signal to the council that I've been in contact with Councilmember Brad Hudson from Marysville. There's interest again for us to work together to put on the fireworks show for the community. So stand by for that. We'll see what our partners in either one of the county and any others that may want to participate in putting that on. Fortunately, the cost appears to be the same this year from last year, so that is good. Like my colleagues, we went to the employee awards dinner. Always great to recognize our city employees for their service and what they do for our community. I'd like to close with two things. Number one, and they're both unfortunate passings. One is Norma Giovanetti. If you know the Giovanettis, you know that they were tremendous givers to this community, and Norma's passing is a sad moment, and we want to make sure that we close the meeting in her memory. But we also lost Mr. Jack Hager. And Jack Hager, though he does not live in the community any longer, Jack was a longtime member of the community and involved as well. So with that, we'll go ahead and close this meeting of May 4th, 2021, the day before Cinco de Mayo. And thank you all for attending, and that'll do it.